Mac and Carter on what went down post-game.
You know, it was a mistake that happened on my side, and it just won't happen again. Just not being able to start the game, even finish the game, just me up, but we'll get it better. It won't happen again.
I was just looking at him. I was right here by the two linemen, and guess I needed to spit, and I wasn't going to spit on my lineman, and I just spit ahead. And he asked, or he goes, "You trying to spit on me?" And at that point, I mean, I felt like he was insulting me. Like I wouldn't spit on somebody. I'm damn sure not trying to spit on you. Like we're about to play a game.
Ultimate sign of disrespect. Carter's ejection was the fastest by a player in an NFL game since 2005 when the Eagles' Jeremiah Trotter and Falcons' Kevin Mathis were ejected for fighting prior to kickoff. Stephen A., coming to you here first. Your reaction to what went down in Carter's ejection?
Utterly disgusted. Utterly disgusted. It's inexcusable. And, you know, you Jalen Carter, first of all, he should have been ejected. Secondly, I think he should be suspended for at least one game. You don't spit on anybody. You don't spit on a man. That's number one. Number two.
Or a woman.
Of course. Yeah. Of course. But I'm just talking about football players on the field, obviously. Obviously, then you think about it. Who's the most protected football player on the field? It's the quarterback. Sure. You spit on Dak Prescott? You don't think somebody's going to see that? Just the dumbest possible thing. And if you're Jalen Carter, I want to look in the camera. I want one of my ISO shots. Let me be Stephen A. here. Let me say this to Jalen Carter. Remember that car crash incident that you got into in 2023 that ultimately led to you falling to the 9th pick in the NFL draft when you were projected as the #1 overall pick? Nobody thought about that until last night because you fell because of your off-field behavior. People didn't trust you. Now you come on the field and you conduct yourself like that and you listen to radio driving in. And what are people talking about? Well, this was a problem. And, you know, obviously this is an on-field incident. This has nothing to do with the car crash that happened in 2023. I'm just using it to remind these guys what you do and how you act stays with you. I don't want to be up here talking about this morning. I don't want this kid's career compromised. I don't want his reputation tainted. I don't want him smeared. But when you spit on a man, when you spit on him on the football field, when you spit on a quarterback and you get yourself ejected before the game, Dak Prescott wasn't sacked once last night. We didn't anticipate that was going to happen. But it happened because you were out there. You weren't out there, and the Philadelphia Eagles had to adjust to life without their best defensive player. You thought about yourself. You didn't think about your teammates at all. It was stupid. You walked off the field with a smile on your face. What the hell is smiling about? What the hell was there to smile about? It was stupid. It was immature. And as far as I'm concerned, not only does he deserve a rejection, he deserves a suspension because of that. Because you got to send a message if you're the league. We ain't tolerating this kind of nonsense.
Yeah, I completely agree. It's inexcusable. And it's inexcusable in so many different ways, in the ones that Stephen A. pointed out, but it's also inexcusable you let your team down. Mm-hmm. It's inexcusable you let your organization down, you let your fan base down, you let your teammates down. And so somebody has to get into the ear of Jalen Carter and just get him to truly understand the big deal. One, you're playing for about $180 to $200 million. If Jalen Carter goes and has this year like he did last year, he'll top Micah Parsons' contract more than likely. So just getting him to understand how important everything that he does this year. And RC knows this. We often hear or have heard the importance of a player like Nakobe Dean when it comes to Jalen Carter. And everybody at Georgia would intimate it, and then people even in Philadelphia would intimate. Nakobe Dean would just get him to understand how he acted, impacted the perception, the leadership that he would display, how he would get him to focus on the job and make sure that he wasn't off the field distracted. Nakobe Dean wasn't there because of the injury. And so I think it's paramount. I agree that there's going to be more than likely a suspension. I think there should be. But just people in that locker room really using this as an example of Jalen. No, like Jalen, you're too important of a player, and also you have too big of a future in the generational wealth impact that he can have if he's not making those ridiculous decisions.
Yeah, and that's the thing too. That's the decision, right? It's not a mistake when you spit on a human, right? What you're telling another human when you spit on them is you're not worth my discretion. You're not worth my respect. You're not worth my compassion. Like that is saying to someone else, you're the lowest of the low, right? When I'm walking outside, I don't spit on the ground, right? Because I have a level of respect for the people around me. So to look at a man in his face and do that, it's not only disgusting, right? But it's a level of stupidity that can't even be fathomed. Because here you are, one of the best players in the entire league. It's the first game of the season. You're the defending Super Bowl champs. You're standing across from not only America's team, but America's quarterback, in the sense that Dak Prescott is the highest paid player in NFL history. The entire world is watching this game. And the reason they're watching this game is because they've all been told on First Take and on Get Up and on NFL Live that the defensive tackle for the Philadelphia Eagles is going to wreck this game. Instead, the Dallas Cowboys changed their entire playbook, their entire idea and game plan of what they were going to do, because you were too stupid to control yourself. And it's not a situation where Dak Prescott did anything to you. This was you not respecting yourself, not respecting your teammates enough to make good decisions. And I don't know what the NFL does going forward, but an example does need to be made. And if you're Jalen Carter, and what Stephen A is saying is correct in this sense, the way you present as a human gets you paid just as much as what the film says.
That's
and
right.
Jalen Carter has to be somebody that can be relied upon, that can be responsible, and now going forward has to be accountable.
We're going to leave it there. It's not a mistake. It's a decision. So well said. Guys, the Cowboys may have let one slip last night, though. Pro Bowl wide receiver CeeDee Lamb had 3 drops, including 2 in the fourth quarter, that prevented the Cowboys from pulling off the upset. Let's hear from Lamb shouldering the blame.
Man, that's terrible. Honestly, I feel like, I can't point no fingers at nobody else, you know what I'm saying? And I take full accountability and everything else that come with it, because, as for me as a player, I pray for moments like that, you know what I'm saying, and the ball to come my way. And obviously for me to not come up with it, bro, it stings a little bit.
Wasn't just those plays. There's throws out there that I want back, but it's game one, and he's a guy that makes those plays. He's going to make those plays. We're not going to get down on him. We're not going to lose confidence by any means.
Obviously, RC Lamb taking full accountability there. He said he prayed for moments like this, wanting those big-time moments, and Dak protecting his guy.
So I ain't going to worry about it. I ain't losing no sleep over that. That man don't get himself ejected. Dak Prescott ain't sitting back taking pictures, ordering Uber Eats and all of that stuff before he throw a damn pass. I'm not taking no accountability with that. I said
You are not CeeDee Lamb.
I'm not taking
no accountability.
No accountability. I am not CeeDee Lamb on this one. Oh, no, not for this particular subject. Jalen Carter did that. I can't bet on that. You going to get ejected before
You got-
the first
you
play
got-
of the game.
are you
Come on,
serious?
you're going to get ejected. Please. What are you talking about?
Is this Stephen A. right, though? How much did he benefit? How much
Oh, a
did
lot.
Dak
I mean,
benefit
this guy's
from
a
not having
defensive
it?
player of the year candidate,
But let me say this about CeeDee Lamb. I appreciate the accountability. Big time drops, no doubt about that. But I'm not going to blame him totally. Certainly culpable, absolutely, because he make those catches, they win the game. But I'm not going to blame him. You know why? Because the Eagles scored in their first 3 jobs. You talk about a brother standing back, taking pictures, doing everything he could.
I know
There
where
was
this is
no
going.
pressure on Jalen Hurts whatsoever, because Micah Parsons was
I knew that was coming.
His ability to scramble, the way that he scrambled, it would have been a lot harder if you got Micah Parsons with his speed and his ability to get to the quarterback. It wouldn't have been so easy. So maybe if Micah Parsons were there, you wouldn't have been able to run the way they were running, the way Jalen Hurts was running the football, okay? Maybe that would not have happened. But because Micah Parsons was gone, the Eagles obviously were able to
it's Jerry
take
Jones'
advantage
fault?
of that. Hell yeah. We
That's
can
who
do
you
that
blame it
too.
on?
I'm going to blame it on him, and I'm going to blame, CeeDee Lamb is not completely absolved. Of course, he should have caught those passes. No doubt about it. 3 drops last night. But it's not completely culpable. But he has some culpability, but Jerry Jones definitely does in this loss. No doubt.
Dan, address CeeDee, and then let's get into the Micah part of it.
Yeah, so I agree. I think there's 2 main reasons why the Cowboys lose the game. One, the rush lanes were not disciplined enough against Jalen Hurts, and he took advantage of it. Jalen was practically
One
perfect in the
sophisticated
football
way of
game.
saying what I just said. Keep
Correct,
going.
and that's a real thing.
That's right.
5 runs for first downs, 2 for touchdowns, and then the drops. Yes, the drops were huge. This is where the job gets tough, Because if you've ever spent any time with CeeDee Lamb, you gain to appreciate who he is.
Awesome.
You enjoy him. You root for him. Everyone says in this job, you got to be unbiased and not root for people. It's hard when you get to understand them. And, like, you appreciate the person, and then you watch him have the shortcoming, and then they take the accountability for it. So, like, you don't want to go kill him. But, yes, obviously, anybody who knows football realizes those drops were huge. And, you know, I was watching something this past week where Nick Saban was telling a story about it was his first time coaching lesson, and he was talking about when he was a young high school quarterback and they came over late into a football game and they called timeout and the coach was like, what do you want to do? He's like, I don't know. I got an all-state receiver, all-state running back. He was like, best players over plays. And I think the Dallas Cowboys did that last night in those situations. And if you're Dak Prescott, you're sitting there going, I'm going to throw it to him again.
Yep.
And CeeDee Lamb will go make the catch again. I think, Stephen A., that's the takeaway. Miles RC is like, you beat yourselves if you're Dallas. Yeah. And so that's where the line you walk is frustrated as all get out because the drops are a huge part and Miles Sanders' fumbles a huge part. And so you had them, but then at the same time, you're encouraged because you did do things in that football game that make you go, we could be a good football team this year.
But what about the Micah piece? What if Micah was there?
Coulda,
shoulda, woulda. Would they have won the game?
I think they win the game with Micah Parsons, yes.
Yeah.
I do.
See?
I do. Because I don't think he runs the way he did.
Waiting to happen,
Listen, Jordan Mailata said it himself.
Listen, I love being on the air with these brothers, but you know, as RC has elevated, because you know he pivots well. As he has elevated, you know, it's kind of hard for him to just sit up there. You know, Stephen A. was right. I mean, I got no problem. But he's absolutely right. Right. And by the way, CeeDee Lamb's a great guy. Great guy. You understand? And a great receiver. Dude. And a great receiver who, by the way, is going to make up for this. Last night was an indication that as things change, they remain the same. Something will go wrong. Just be patient. Wait for it. They won't let you down. That's what they did last night yet again.
So let me tell you this. This was my pregame last night because I was at the game last night. I was at the game on the sideline with David Mulligetta.
That's right.
Actually,
That's right?
And then Stephen Jones walks over to me. And driving down there, I was thinking to myself, the Jones family just doesn't care. They absolutely love this man, right? And there is nobody in the world that talks about the Dallas Cowboys, the Jones family, as much as this dude. Yeah. And I'm saying to myself, like, they just don't care. Stephen Jones walks over to me on the sideline, hugs me, is laughing, and goes, boy, you've been killing me. But I don't care. I love you.
There you go.
Gives me a hug because they truly are operating in a world where they're doing what's best for the Dallas Cowboys. Right. The Jones family, even in looking at last night's game and seeing that Jalen Hurts, the runs he made, he wasn't making somebody miss in the backfield. He had actually surveyed the entire field.
Yeah.
He had realized that no one was open.
That's right.
He still had no pressure. He just had to run because he had been back there for 6 seconds.
That's right.
That is where Micah Parsons comes in. Matt Eberflus actually did a good job as the coordinator because you know what normally happens when A.J. Brown can't get a target until late in the fourth quarter? When Devontae Smith only has 3 catches, you have sacks and you have turnovers and you make plays. But a lot of times, for the last 4 years, those plays came from number 11.
Yeah. That's
right.
It was a glaring difference in winning one-on-ones and making plays.
So
Lane Johnson told me this in the training camp. He said, you know what? I don't worry about Jerry Jones. I worry about Micah Parsons. And in this case, Jerry Jones took away that worry for them.
Yeah.
So in other words, Stephen A. was right.
But you weren't, because you said Dak was going to throw 2 picks. And
You did.
I did say it.
I said it. Did the Eagles not drop 3 interceptions? Did they not drop 3 interceptions?
But I have a question.
Go ahead.
Do you not do this? Oh, I have the tape, guys. I watched it. I have the film.
That's true.
I got the film. It's going to be close. But Dak Prescott going to turn it over 2 times.
You got me. But I still asked you a question, Pivot Man. I said, did the Eagles not drop 3 interceptions?
The Eagles dropped 1.
Did they not drop? Oh, come on.
Quinyon Mitchell dropped 1.
Come on. They had
You're
3
making things
right
up.
there in the
They did not have 3 3. It was 1. Quinyon Mitchell on the sideline.
You gonna agree with that?
I don't think C3 dropped interceptions.
They
I think
weren't
it's 1.
3. It was 1.
I think there's a couple bang plays, but that's part of the game.
You talk about
I
tips.
think-
Oh my
CeeDee
God.
Lamb,
Did you hear what he
CeeDee Lamb,
just said?
CeeDee Lamb
Part
drops
of
the ball.
game. That's part of the game. Come on.
The ball
man.
bounces off of CeeDee Lamb's chest. Yeah, that's not Dak
There's a
Prescott's fault.
there's a drop touchdown or two as well.
Ferguson drops a touchdown,
Yeah. Okay.
and Blankenship hits him. That's not a Dak Prescott's
Stephen A.
fault.
Let me
Yeah, go ahead.
encapsulate the Micah thing, though.
They know I defer to them. They ganging up on me, but they know it's at least
Now you know-
You had it.
now you know what it's like to go
Will Martin.
Yeah.
Right.
I'll encapsulate it this way. The Eagles the Dallas Cowboys had 14 pressures last night. They had 1 sack. You are converting at a significantly higher rate those pressures with Micah Parsons.
Yes.
Okay, tell me this. As a Cowboys fan, how am I feeling this morning? And as an Eagles fan, how am I feeling this morning? What are our biggest takeaways?
I think if you're a Cowboys fan, you're very encouraged.
Okay.
Schottenheimer looked like he had the team ready.
Yeah.
You were operational, very good. The end of the first half, the 2-minute drive, we've seen that team fail in that way in multiple capacities. Internal part of your offensive line played very good. Caveat, no Jalen Carter. So I'm not ignoring that. Dak Prescott looked fantastic. I thought he looked better last night than he did all of last season. And I thought the run defense was actually solid. So I think you're very encouraged. I think if you're the Eagles and their fans, you're going, we played our C game and we won. Our quarterback played a essentially perfect football game. Our offensive coordinator who's new looked really good. I am a little bit 9 penalties on defense, and a lot of them were controllables. Multiple personal foul penalties. The Jalen Carter thing, I do think is a worthy conversation. And also, we talked about it yesterday morning. If you're the Cowboys, what are you going to do? I'm throwing every ball opposite Quinyon Mitchell. Last night, the Cowboys in the game threw often opposite Quinyon Mitchell. So you do have to be a little bit concerned about the corner playing opposite Quinyon Mitchell.
Stephen A., if you're a Cowboys fan, how are you feeling this morning?
They, honestly speaking, in all seriousness, they should feel good. Dak Prescott looked pretty damn good last night. He really did better than he did all last year. You're absolutely right. Okay. I know Javonte Williams fumbled the ball, but he was running the football relatively effectively, averaging about 4 yards.
Miles Sanders. Yep.
Miles Sanders, I apologize. So you have that going on, right? Then not only that, I got to take into consideration, CeeDee Lamb was balling. You know what I'm saying? He was balling, okay? George Pickens being on the opposite side is a formidable threat. They did neutralize the run. Hell, Saquon Barkley only 60 yards rushing. I got to give credit where credit is due in that regard. And I love the feature on Brian Schottenheimer because Marty Schottenheimer was a damn good coach.
Yes, he was.
Okay, and to see Brian Schottenheimer, that moment meant a lot to him, and I really love the feature that they did on him with that. So I give, and Coach had him ready. So I got to give credit to Brian Schottenheimer. The flip side is, if I'm the Philadelphia Eagles, here's my concern. I don't like the fact that if you're A.J. Brown and you're Devontae Smith, you wasn't open most of the night. I just don't.
What do you mean?
I'm just saying, the Dallas Cowboys did a damn good job defending against them. Like RC said, you standing in the pocket for 6 seconds, the good side is that Jalen Hurts was able to run.
Yeah.
The bad side was that he spent all of that time looking for an open receiver and couldn't find one.
Yeah.
I'm just simply saying that I expect more from the weapons around Jalen Hurts because I know what those brothers can do.
But I think that's what Dallas decided to do in that game. I think the Cowboys decided to play a ton of zone.
Okay.
Keep everything in front of them.
But you obviously know more football than most. The point is, you know the great ones. No matter who you are, you could throw anything you want at CeeDee Lamb. At some point, you're gonna find that brother open. At some point, you're gonna find a Justin Jefferson open. At some point, Jamar Chase gonna be open. I don't give a damn what they gotta find it.
They have different quarterbacks, and their quarterback of the Eagles has a different mentality.
Okay.
Jalen Hurts truly is, I'm going to do the right thing to make sure we win. That's what he thinks. He doesn't think I'm going to please people, right?
Okay.
You can see that in the way Jalen Hurts addresses the media. He doesn't sit up there and say, I need to give them something. He says, I need to do what's best for myself and for my team. Last night, forcing the ball to A.J. Brown and Devontae Smith wasn't the way to win the game. But when he had the shot play to Jahan Dotson on the double post,
That's right.
he took it.
Took it.
Right, and so now what this is going to be about, Stephen A., because I agree with you in this sense, Kevin Patullo, right, who is a new offensive coordinator, he's going to have to deal with this. We think back 2 years ago under a different offensive coordinator. It's Minnesota Vikings. They're playing a lot of rush 3, drop 8.
Yeah.
Right? Remember, A.J. Brown didn't get the ball. Him and Jalen Hurts are having that conversation on the sideline.
Right.
Now you move to last year. You play the Carolina Panthers. He doesn't get the rock. And that's when we get the situation where he says, hey, what do we got to do better? Passing. That's when he's reading books on the sideline later on in the season, right? So now Kevin Patullo is going to have to make a decision. Do I go to Jalen and say, hey, to start this game, if we get off coverage to AJ, let's throw him a hitch.
Yeah.
Right? So it's going to be about how they manage that, because their quarterback is going to do what it takes to win the game. It's not that they weren't open or CeeDee Lamb's going to get the ball or Justin Jefferson's going to get the ball. It's that offense is going to scheme. Minnesota, Kevin O'Connell, we got to get it to 18.
Yep.
30 seconds.
Right? So you got to figure it out.
Yeah, they run their offense through them. I think I understand the perception of it. I don't think last night is one that spins it that way. Mm-hmm. If it continues to be a thing, I'm with you.
In fairness to y'all, from a football novice perspective, somebody that watches as opposed to have played and covering it, if we're watching the game on TV, what we're thinking is A.J. Brown hasn't caught a pass in 3 quarters.
Totally.
We know that's not their intent.
Totally.
Mm-hmm.
You understand? So you're asking yourself, how did that happen?
Totally.
You understand what I'm saying? And that's all. And then we're supposed to feed it to cats like y'all to break it down.
Yep.
All right, we'll leave it there. So our major takeaway, Stephen A. Smith says Cowboys fans should feel